Hello, everyone. I hope you are doing well. So first of all, I'd like to thank Mr. Mustafa Al-Ktiri as the President of the High Commission of Veterans and members of the Liberation Army. My thank is also extended to the regional delegation of veterans and members of the Liberation Army. And of course, I'd like to thank Mr. Azzdin Al-Rosin for his nice and, as we say, professional coordination. My presentation today is entitled Landmarks on the Journey to Independence, and from the Protectorate to the Independence Day. Of course, I think that celebrating those historical, as we say, events is an occasion for new generations and future generations to discover the heroic history of their forefathers and ancestors. And also it is a great opportunity to pay tribute and homage to all the veterans and members of the Liberation Army for all the efforts and for all the sacrifices they have made in order to get Morocco's independence. I think that providing a context for a historical event is necessary so as to understand how independence was won after a long struggle of military and political struggle. So as you know, that just after the signature, just a few years after the signature of Fez Protectorate in 1912, Moroccans were not, as we say, pleased with the French and the Spanish occupation. That's why we witnessed many wars. I can here mention the first war that took place in 1914. It was named Al-Hri, as we say, Al-Hri battle, a very famous war for the part, as we say, for all Moroccans, because it was led by a great resistance figure, Muha Uhmu Zayani. Then we have the Anwal battle in 1921, which was led by Muhammad bin Abdul Karim al-Khattabi, and it was, as we say, an occasion for the Spanish military to know the power of the Moroccan resistance. There was another important battle that took place in Ait Amran tribes, Boughafar battle in 1933. Of course, these wars or battles and the regions that where they took place is very significant, because I believe that it showed that all Moroccans demonstrated against of refusal and rejection to the Spanish and the French colonialism. I do believe that the national movement espoused two forms of resistance: the political resistance, but before that I will talk about the military resistance, which took the form of resisting, we say, the colonial powers through waging wars and military attacks on the colonial administration's interests. Then after, we say, the kings Muhammad V succeeding, or the Sultan Muhammad V succeeding to the throne, there was like a shift in terms of the strategies and the form of resistance from the military to the political. And here I should mention a very, very important event that I can say turned the trajectory of the Moroccan resistance and struggle for independence, that of the, as we say, issuing a Berber decree on May the 16th, 1930. I believe that the issuing this decree was an intention on the part, or the decree was intended to divide Moroccans, okay, the Berber and the Berbers and Arabs, and through which the French colonial administration tried to give a chance, okay, to the Berber tribes to, as we say, revive the customary law, and by doing this, they wanted them to be out of the Sultan's sovereignty and control. Of course, when just after a few years after issuing this decree, and I should mention here that there was another attempt in 1914. Okay, the French tried to issue a Berber decree for the same reason within the, we say, the framework of divide to rule. But both decrees, they failed, and they turned into, as we say, different, as we say, they brought about different outcomes, as the Moroccans were even more united than before. Of course, as a sign of the Moroccans' rejection to this decree, which was like accused of making Berbers convert to Christianity, so Moroccans they kept reciting prayers, okay, to and invokes Allah to keep them unified and to help them keep their faith. Of course, the members of the liberation movement, they I can say they expressed their solidarity with the king by sending a letter to His Majesty to express their solidarity with him and to pledge allegiance to him. Of course, there was a meeting where the king, or the Sultan Mohammed V, received all the members and the leaders of the national movement, okay, and they decide on the political, as we say, form of resistance through which the national movement promised to raise awareness among Moroccans, Moroccan youth, as we say, all Moroccans from all the different social classes, and to encourage them to get involved in the struggle to liberation and to independence. Of course, the national leaders and the leadership of His Majesty the King Mohammed V, they introduced the Moroccan cause in different international events. The King Mohammed V seized the opportunity of meeting the President Roosevelt in Anfa in 1943 to talk about the efforts that Morocco make to get its independence, and he got a promise from the President Roosevelt to help Morocco get its independence just after the end of the Second World War. There was another meeting, okay, after on the outcomes that came, just after the end of the Second World War, where the king asked the French authorities to free some important figures and in the national movement, mainly Al-Fasi and others who were leading the political struggle towards independence. There is another important event that marked the history of Morocco's struggle for independence, that of Mohammed V's visit to Tangier in 1947, in which he emphasized and insisted on the national integrity of Morocco. Of course, the French didn't like all these efforts and tried to dismantle this sacred relationship and link that brought the King Mohammed V and the leaders of the national movement by planning an exile to Corsica and then to Madagascar as a sign of, just to threaten the Moroccans, if they keep, fighting and rejecting the French presence in Morocco. And of course, the Moroccans were unhappy with this initiative, and they waged protests and demonstrations all over Morocco to express their refusal to the French move, which showed that the French didn't understand the sacred link that brought Mohammed V and the royal family and the Moroccan people. Of course, there was an attempt to murder the fake Sultan, Ben Arafah, by the great, the historic champion, or hero, the champion, the historic hero, Allal bin Abdullah, who tried to stab, Ben Arafah because he was not the legitimate Sultan of Morocco. After all these efforts, so Morocco had been able to get its independence. And of course, the struggle didn't end there, as the King Hassan II continued on the same path of his father to get the independence of the southern part of Morocco, namely Sidi Ifni, and then he tried to call for a green march that helped in regaining the Moroccans, authority over and Moroccan sovereignty over its southern parts. On the same path, King Mohammed VI is launching huge and great development projects in order to make Morocco among the most powerful countries all over the world. So once again, this presentation has come to its end. I'd like to thank once again the regional delegation of veterans and members of the Liberation Army to give me this chance to talk about this great event. So thank you very much for your listening, and see you soon.